Oh my God, you're from 3 minutes and 16 seconds into the future, Alex. Should I buy Bitcoin? Alex, you don't understand.
Buy the dip.
Within 3 minutes, Bitcoin could be fucking $18 million or it could be worthless. I need to know.
Dump it, crush it, and paint
Dump
a
it.
bull flag. He thinks we're going up. We are. Let him in. Kill him and transfer everything, and then find another. So anyway, all right. So me and Tad were just talking about some bullshit, and we're talking about like stories and shit in games. And I really just kind of wanted to just shit on the League of Legends like story. Can I do that, Tad?
Okay, so preamble. Now the title of the episode, you're gonna be like, what the fuck are they talking about? What are they doing? We will get to Disco Elysium, I promise you. We just have to talk about this. Also, possibly the 11-year-old child I saw on YouTube who was selling Robux. Maybe we'll talk about that too. We'll have to see if we can pencil it in.
So. Me and Tad were just talking about the bullshit, and Tad made an offhanded joke about how if League of Legends' story is so good, why has every spin-off game failed miserably and just kind of like fucking belly flopped and died? And I want to talk about this because I used to be super invested in League's like story and shit back in the day. And the big reason why League has failed this hard, this kind of happens to a lot of these kind of games nowadays, is that the game's story has become so broad, washed out, and effectively non-interactive that's just boring. What do I mean by this? So, you might remember this back in the day, Tad, but the people here might not. The Journal of Justice. Do you remember what that was?
I remember it. It was like a newsletter that would have little snippets of the characters doing things inside the world. Like Blitzcrank had a dating service where he would pair up Rammus and a cactus and like other silly little things, and they would put that up alongside normal blog posts.
Yeah, but they also had it because it was an in-universe news article written by various in-universe reporters about the League, because the League of Legends was a place that these champions fought in. That's the entire point of the name, right? And so they're almost like these little celebrities in like this tournament. And there's even like interesting like lore ones, like the one guy who interviewed Shaco, because Shaco was so mysterious, and he's like, "Is it true that like the head of the League of Legends, the head of the league, hired you here, and that's why you can get away with so much that you can get away with?" And Shaco's like, "I don't like that question." It's like shit like that. Like there was these little in-universe things that were kind of neat, and it worked because it was not only building the world and these people live through these things, like what these champions are doing outside of the the Summoner's Rift and how they interact with each other, not just necessarily with like taunt lines that you hear occasionally in a matchup, right? You get to see them all
or
interact.
Like the passive. They have like those passive ones with fucking the big. What's the big dragon? There's a big dragon and a little dragon in League now. What's the big dragon? He's like space.
Aurelian Soul?
Yeah. Like those two dragons interact, but it's only like once you hit level 6, if you kill the other one first, you get 20 stacks, and like that's it. And then they have like a voice line where they say one thing, and that's kind of the extent of this character existing in the universe.
Yeah.
They just say something every now and then when you walk around. And they mumble about the fucking Pantheon is the worst one, because I remember he has like a 1.5-minute line where he talks about climbing the mountains.
Zanzibar, forgive me.
Yeah, it's like, I don't give a fuck about this, and obviously no one else does. Why is this being pushed on me?
So,
is it because of your failure MMO?
Hey, it hasn't failed yet. Okay, it might be great. So the
Lord Tanic.
So what they did is. Well, this has happened a long time ago, so I'm basically digging up old wounds. They got rid of the League because they thought it was holding them back with the stories they wanted to tell. Because whenever they wanted to make like a conflict between like these two countries, well, the League would just come in and solve it and then have them have a fight in a tournament, right? It was effectively chokeholding them in a way. Now,
I do give them a little leeway there, because I remember a common complaint with like new characters that every fucking character was like an anime pro tag, because it's like, well, they have to end up at this stupid tournament thing.
Yeah.
So there's only so many ways.
Yeah. So I do understand that point, but they sacrificed too much And ironically, the story is somehow more bland. What do I mean by that? Because before, every champion was there representing their country or town or city or whatever, and fighting over like what this or that bullshit, right? Now, well, what is this? They've never made an excuse, and never a replacement of what the League or the Summoner's Rift is. It's been over a decade since that retcon, and they have yet to make a replacement. So why are we doing any of this? We had a reason. We were the Summoners, we were the champions. Characters still say the line Summoner. They said they were going to get rid of that 12 years ago. They have no idea what they're doing now. And now with these countries, it's like, okay, here are the Shurima guys, the desert guys that have like the cult of like the void and shit, right? Now, what do they do and interact with the rest of the world? They don't.
They just don't.
Exactly.
I remember thinking that was ridiculous when I was playing the card game, because the card game would have all these little flavor text things, and they're like, oh, the desert is full of like these massive magical power super things. And I'm like, hold on a second. And there was like a world map. I'm like, all right, so this fucking Disney World theme park, you're telling me that the giant conquering Roman Empire to the north or the one to the south wouldn't take this giant unguarded piece of land with like magic and stuff?
Exactly.
You're trying to have your cake and eat it too. You're trying to make me give a shit about your Chinese MOBA gotcha crap world. And then also trying to make it like, this is so like the lore is so serious and epic. It's a living world, you guys. But it's like, you can't have fucking pirates and Vikings and all this other shit in the same world. It doesn't work. It comes across as ridiculous. I played that Ruined King game, right?
Mm-hmm.
The RPG that came out that no one remembers. And the gameplay was cool. I liked the gameplay. You had 3 different lanes. You would line up your attacks. You would try to chain things. It was cool. But I couldn't keep playing it because, like, as soon as I unlocked Yasuo and Ari, I'm like, oh, this is 2 fucking wet pieces of cardboard saying bland, uninteresting. This is the rest of the game. I'm not doing this. And I dropped it. Even though the gameplay was good, the story was so bad. I'm like, I'm not putting up with this shit.
Mm-hmm. And the big thing with all of these countries and bullshit, and now the champions, is that what you're doing is creating these bubbles. It's not a world of a country where these countries are connected to each other and they have like, you know, friction and like and like competition with each other and war and just conflict. Now it's like they're all in these self-isolated bubbles that never interact and never collide. Demacia and Noxus, they don't do anything with each other. Fucking Zwan and like fucking Shurima doesn't do anything. Like nobody does anything. The only conflict you ever get is the Piltover and Zwan one, and that didn't happen in game. That happened in their fucking Netflix show. That literally never comes up in the game. Is that they don't even have like a rivalry anymore? They used to, but now it's just like just I don't know. Piltover's up there. Zwan's like it's almost like they're afraid to have any conflict at all because it might make the story fucking interesting. And like. Have you read the character stories?
I've read, I only read the one, and I bet I read the one that you're going to bring up, which is fucking Skarner and then Better Soda. I forget her name.
Seraphine. And I haven't read those ones, because the ones that I read were so dumb that I stopped giving a shit almost immediately.
So like the big one that happened was Seraphine's lore or whatever was that she got a bunch of crystals from the desert and she does like pop star shit with it. And then people pointed out that's like isn't that the Scorpion guy's like family? Isn't that his like family souls? And they were like, oh fuck. So then they changed his lore to get rid of that. And it's like, okay, so you're trying to pretend like I should give a shit about this world, but you just rewrote an entire like 15% of it because you wanted to sell the sexy K-pop skins for this character.
Yes.
Why should I care if you don't?
Yeah, and so that's the thing that happened with WoW, where a lot of people, like even Noble, who was like a WoW lore like YouTuber, that he stopped playing that because he's just like, listen, if you're gonna retcon everything, every fucking expansion, I'm just not gonna care because everything I'm reading here is not gonna matter in 5 years, right? Same thing here goes with the League thing. Like, I can read this whole story about how Graves is homosexual and he likes to fuck furry men. I'm not serious. I'm not joking with that, by the way. And
Zace?
Zanzibar, forgive me. Listen, did you know that Graves has canonically taken it up the ass from a whale man? I got to know that. I got to know. Thanks. I got to know that.
I didn't even know that there were whale guys in League. Does it look like fucking? It
doesn't show him. It just says it's a text-based story. It just says that he had a very intense sexual relationship with like a big cat guy like Rengar, a big like orca whale man, a racist ass Noxian who apparently put out well anyway.
his name is okay. Malcolm Graves is a gay character from League. That's kind of redundant. They're all gay.
You're fucking looking this up.
His love life, whale man. Ex-lover, Buru cultist, ex-lover, unnamed traitor, ex-lover.
What did they mean by this?
Fuck.
Anyway,
Alex, did I tell you my favorite thing? Listen, this is gonna get me canceled eventually at some point, but whenever I played League, if I ever play during like Gay Pride Month, they give you like the little flag icons.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fucking hilarious to be like a max stack Cho'Gath fucking zooming at someone with a trans flag behind me. Like just fucking blow them up. Because it's like, what are you gonna do? Like,
you legally can't insult me.
I don't know. I had a lot more fun doing that. I'm just gonna say.
Ted, I picture you as that bit from Punisher with all the babies on him, but it's all the pride flags. What are you gonna do? You can't tase me, you can't shoot me, you can't stab me. Hell, you can't even gas me.
You know how he gets him, Alex?
How?
He hangs him.
I always did want to know how he got through the baby shield. Anyway, so back to League in this orca sex.
Baby shield.
Back to Graves taking up the ass. So anyway, this story didn't tell me anything about Bilgewater's world other than it was just Graves and Twisted Fate talking, not like Graves and Twisted Fate, and just naming off random prog shit, like just verbatim. And it's like, this is literally like not building anything. This is just telling me every single dick that this guy has sucked, which is kind of funny, let's be real. It's kind of amusing. But it's not like there's nothing to the story. It doesn't like build the relationship. It doesn't build the world. The conflict was just them fighting this random pirate guy who calls Graves gay. It's like an insult, which was like really fucking funny. Again, it's funny.
So they have. Okay, so this is like a thing that a lot of like these like playing it safe, super squeaky clean games do, is they'll have like a bunch of diversity and everything, but they'll never make characters homophobic. So League established that there's people that hate the gays in their universe.
Yeah, it was like some shark guy, and he was like mentally retarded. They make sure he was like mentally retarded in his like, because yeah, they don't show this. It's text form, so just like his text reads like a retard. But anyway, they like kill the guy, and like that's it. Like nothing actually like happens, right? And it doesn't. There's nothing to do with any other Bilgewater story before or after. So it's just like, whatever, right? It didn't mean anything. Or like, let's say when Nico, who's also gay by the way, kills millions of Noxian soldiers. So when she so her thing is she can like shapeshift, right? That's like her little power. And so she enters like a Noxian war camp, and you're thinking like, okay. So the Noxians are like doing something in like this jungle. They're gonna like be like somewhat interesting. So I don't remember exactly what she does, but she gets caught and immediately like hides and shapeshifts again. And they go, "Oh fuck! It's John Carpenter's The Thing. We can't trust anybody anymore." And so they start killing each other, trying to figure out which one of them's the fucking like body snatcher, right? So she completely wipes out this fucking camp by accident. And the last three guys they're like, "Listen, I know it ain't me. And you two think that ain't you, so we're just gonna fucking walk away, and we're just gonna pretend none of this ever happened." They leave like blood soaked, and just leave the disembark the camp, and so like 1,000+ guys are just murdered by her hand. Will this be ended? Like, will this be brought up in her character lines? Will this be brought up in like a future story? No. So it's just like you have these self-isolated stories that don't grind, friction into each other. There's no conflict with each other. There's no follow-up or anything. You just have these self-isolated character bio stories that you think are building the world, but because none of these things ever come up again, it's not really building anything. And that's why League of Legends World feels like so empty, despite having so much work put into it, because nothing truly matters. Do you know how good it felt in
impact?
Yes, do you know how good it felt in New Vegas when one NPC walks up to you and says, "Hey, you're the guy helping Freeside out. Here's 500 cigarettes." Right? You know how good that felt? all they did. One guy.
I know how good it felt, Alex. It felt like you've been walking your entire life, and now you finally got to sit down.
like
500 cigarettes.
This aroma is wonderful. 500 cigarettes. But the point is that there's no reason for any of these stories. There's no reason to read them. They don't matter. And then the card game. Oh, what's the world in Runeterra like? Fucking, you played the game. What do you think, Tad? Did any of that shit ever come or matter at all? Was anything themed ever?
It's as themed as a fucking birthday cake. Where it's wowee, look at that interesting visual design. Oh, what's that? The game's been out for 4 years and you don't have a Moo in the game, but there's 5 fucking dragons and 3 original characters once? Wow, that's so crazy. Wow. Ooh, wow, that's so cool. By the way, they removed the draft mode in that game, and they're no longer adding cards, so a Moo literally will never exist in that game.
Oh, that game just died. Got it. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, they wisely made the pivot to focus on the PVM, where you build the deck. It's a roguelike deck builder now, Alex.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking kill myself, dude. So, chat, can you please post the GIF of the guy opening the fridge and then looking incredibly disappointed?
Dude, that's how I felt looking at the new BioShock, where it's takes place in Antarctica. It's on the Unreal 5 open world. Oh, I'm just not interested in that. You know why I'm interested in that Indiana Jones game? Because it's not fucking open world.
I don't know, man. We've only seen a cutscene into one gameplay segment into another cutscene. Either this is going to be Heavy Rain 2, Electric Boogaloo, or it's going to be Indiana Jones and Alex, the open world map.
I actually liked Heavy Rain, and I liked the black people android one. I forget the name. The one where you can be the robot. And it says 99% stress. And
the black people robot game. What a great way to summarize that game.
Yeah, they put the androids on the back of the bus. It was really subtle, Alex. I know you might not have picked up on it.
Ted, was that game absolutely breathtaking?
Remember that scene in the game where they had a robot painting and the implication was supposed to be oh my god, this non-human can paint. That seems I don't think that was even a thing back in the slavery days in the US. I think they knew that they were people. They just tried to justify it through a bunch of bullshit reasons. I don't think they thought they were robots. That was a little weird.
Well, the thing with these racist analogy games and things like that, this goes back to to Bright and the orc thing. It's what are you implying? Because when you actually think about it, what did you mean by that?
Right, for those that don't know, it was a urban fantasy Netflix movie where people could, it was orcs, and it was kind of like Shadowrun, where all of a sudden there was just a bunch of orcs and goblins and elves and shit. It was a buddy cop movie. But all of it was a weird movie. Have you actually seen Bright?
No, why the fuck would I watch that shit? That movie looks like shit, dude. That movie looks like one guy on Twitter said one line that he thought was really cool. Then this literal retard was yeah. What if black people were like really ugly and warlike and just like and serve the Dark Lord and are now justifiably being persecuted against for trying to extinct humanity? What did I mean by this? Like
it's one of them movies.
When you create a movie with these racist things, like when you're making when it's a human and a non-human, it's very easy to not like them. It's very easy to not like a non-human thing, okay? The thing is that if I am going to be racist to a lizard man, he is a literal lizard man. Like, he looks cool. He can eat me. An orc wants to kill me. The orc, like, let's say Lord of the Rings, they literally eat people. People don't eat people unless they're like a literal cannibal. I know what, we don't like cannibals very much, right? Like,
yep, they're
like,
low on the pecking order.
Like, when you say we're being racist to these robots, and you're trying to make that a real life allegory, it's like, do you think black people are robots then? Like, what do you mean by this? Because, like, in real life, bitch, I am not treating the toaster. I'm not treating the toaster like a person. It's not a person. It's a toaster. I don't.
It's a Decepticon.
Tad, we already know what people are gonna think of with robots. We already have all the AI art and how much everyone hates it. The literal second so-called like peaceful and loving people are when the robots take their jobs. Like, we already know what's going to happen with that, right? We already don't like the machine, all right? You can't make that kind of allegory. But when we're doing a living thing, what's like, okay, well, if it's a non-human thing, it's very easy to not like a non-human thing. It is non-human. I literally cannot relate to it. It is a completely different creature, different entity. It thinks differently. It eats differently. It walks differently. It talks differently. And in the case of literally Bright, well, you gave them a reason. They tried to kill them all. Like, motherfucker, like, in real life, black people are still pissed about slavery 400 years later. You're thinking that in the fantasy world, humans still wouldn't be pissed off at the orcs trying to kill them all, like, 500 years prior? Like, you just gave them a reason. Like, you don't understand what you are implying with these dumb fuck stories.
That's stuff about Bright and League. Because we're not here to talk about those.
Yeah, we're here to talk about literally what everyone considers the greatest video game of all time. I played it for 5 hours, and chat, can you post a gif of Luigi falling asleep in Luigi's Mansion 3?
All right, so unfortunately, everyone, Alex got filtered by Disco Elysium.
More like Disco Borlysium.
Well, you know what, Alex? Thank you. You know what? This is just between me and Alex. You guys aren't aware of this, but thank you, Alex. I appreciate you doing that. That's a little secret. That's a little secret for me and him. You guys don't get to know that. His word choice was much more appropriate. So, Disco Elysium, it came out in 2019. I knew it was a big deal, and I somehow managed to completely avoid all spoilers, man. I'm so fucking happy I did. So, like, Alex, he was liking it. He thought it was funny. He was being a racist. And he's like, this is great. I love this. I love being a racist. And so...
Yeah, I could get down with the racism.
So, okay. Disco Elysium is, like, right up against Team Fortress 2 for probably my favorite video game I've ever played. I would say this is the best RPG I've ever played, which means I liked it more than fucking Undertale. And that's like the big RPG. I like it more than Paper Mario, Alex.
I have a feeling
that's how big of a deal.
I have a feeling Disco Elysium and Paper Mario are like two completely different spectrums of game, but pop off, King.
No, okay. So I have an unfortunate thing here. So I've noticed that Tad's top media. Here's 3 of my favorite things, okay? Homestuck, Twin Peaks, and Disco Elysium.
Chat,
I have a type.
Chat, please post GIF of Luigi falling asleep.
I think the stories that I like are big, complicated fucking messes, right? Homestuck, Twin Peaks, Disco Elysium. That's a lot. Like, that's a lot. Like, all 3 of these games have, like, mysteries. There's a constant sense of mystery. And I think I was immediately fucking hooked on Disco because of that. Because as soon as the game starts, I don't know where I am. I don't know who I am. I don't find out either of those things until, like, an hour into the game. I'm stumbling around as a drunk monster.
Yeah, listen, you got super drunk and partied hard, like a super rock star style.
Hell yeah. So my first run of the game, I looked at the skills screen and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, there's a lot here. And I had no idea what to do, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to go with an old standby. This is something that I started doing when I did my second New Vegas run. I was like, okay, I think I was like 25 at the time or something. And I was like, okay, Tad, am I really going to be able to dump 140 hours into this? And I'm like, I could, but probably not. So I'm like, what's a better way that I can play this game? And I've found that, like, whenever I play a character in a game, even if it's just like a soft character, I end up having a lot more fun. Like my New Vegas run, I played it as like a fucking crazed out junkie. So I would make decisions in the game to be like there was a quest where I had to get a bunch of drugs from someone or something. And I was like, okay, you know what my character would do? Logically, I should finish this quest, but my character would probably just blow this guy's head up, take the drugs, and run away before even like getting halfway through the quest. And I'm like, I'm gonna do that. And you know what, Alex? It was a lot more fun than killing a bunch of bandits and getting my stim packs, you know?
Yeah, I kind of get that. So when it comes to me, I actually kind of have trouble role playing in a lot of these games, despite being RPGs. I will do like a little bit. Like I'll have like a specific build in like a Souls game where I'm like kind of being thematic. Like in the Dark Souls games, I like pyromancer, so I try to be like a pyromancer and like use all the spells and shit in that tree. But like I don't go that hard into it.
You won't make decisions like so like for a pyromancer like Dark Souls 1, I think like the pyromancers are associated with like the poison place and all that, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't like do some
skip
incredibly
out on a side quest.
Yeah, I wouldn't do stuff like that. Or in like even in Fire Emblem, what I do is it's a little harder to roleplay in that, but like when you promote characters, they can change classes, right? I'll keep them in like a class I think is fitting for their character, right? In the later games, you can make them whatever the fuck you want. And I feel like it's kind of boring because you kind of lose their identity that way, you know? Like, I want the axe guy. I could make him just some fucking sword guy, but where's the fun in that, right? Like, he's the axe guy. I'm gonna keep him an axe guy. I'll do little bits like that, but when it comes to, say, Fallout, I'm just gonna pick the options that, like, get me the best rewards. It's hard for me to get that into it. Like, I'll do a little where, like, New Vegas, I'm picking a faction, sure, but, like, I'm not gonna pick the faction and play, like let's say I'll play a Mr. House schizo, where I still pick fights with everybody. I'm just gonna pick Mr. House and then do the best options for Mr. House, right? I only go like so far into it, and that when I was playing Disco, I liked the idea that when you get a new thought in your head, it kind of tries to promote you into role playing a specific way because it literally like gives you like a bonus for doing that. When you pick Hobo Cop, you can have Hobo Cop dialogue options, or you get extra fucking money from donating fucking plastic bottles into the fucking trash can.
So that's what
funny.
That does.
It's funny, yeah, but like ultimately, when I was playing Disco, I think I just picked really bad stats where I wanted to just kind of be an asshole, and I thought being authority let me fascist max, but all it did was make Volition try to stop me from having fun. I hate Volition. But like, because I pumped up my psych or whatever, right? But that's where Volition is. And so whatever fucking electrochemistry, my beloved, would be like, smoke that fucking cigarette, that sweet, succulent cigarette. So put that bud to your lips and suck it dry.
500 cigarettes.
500 cigarettes.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Frit. We're going to take your gun. We're going to get 500 cigarettes.
But then like Volition, that fucking cuck would be like, no, Harry, don't smoke 500 cigarettes. And then Harry would just be like, oh, okay, I guess I won't smoke 500 cigarettes. It's a pretty bad idea. And then Inland Empire would be like, good, you shouldn't smoke 500 cigarettes. You should instead focus on being a fucking cuck. You should focus on those ideas of being a hobo cop. Think about the world that you can live, Harry. Free from household chores, free from rent, free from a mortgage, donating plastic bottles. You're free, Harry. And so then I would walk and talk to Kim. Kim would be following me, this fucking no fun loser. I'm talking to this
You
fat
don't like
fuck.
Kim?
No, I don't like Kim. Do you know why I don't like Kim, Tad? Because he's literally Volition, but given form. I want to
Alex,
be
hold on
an
a second.
asshole. I want to smoke 500 cigarettes. I want to punch a child. I want to be down with racism. And then Kim's like, Harry. I'm sorry, Raphael Ambrosius Cousteau. Could you, like, not do that? And then Harry's like, fine. I'm like, okay, whatever, cool. Thanks for ruining my fun, Kim. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Kimberly, for getting in my fucking way. Now, I think there is a way I can get rid of him if I just, like, racist max really early on. He might just fuck off. But, like, I don't know, man. Whenever I would try to do anything even remotely funny, one of these two fucking cuckolds would just come in and ruin my fun because I think I had too much psych.
So, okay, what's really funny... So, okay, here's the run that I did. Because we had similar stats. We chose primary purple, secondary red. For my run, what I decided I wanted to do is I was like, there's so much to do in this game. I'm like, if I try and do everything, I'm going to get burnt out. So I'm like, I got to focus on one thing. So I looked at all the skills and I'm like, Inland Empire sounds awesome. I'm going to play this like Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks. I set like a couple of ground rules for myself. I was like, I'm going to be very direct and honest with people. I'm going to try and help them and do the right thing. And I will be very inquisitive. Like, I'll be very inquisitive of the world, but I won't tolerate people that are being dicks.
Oh, you're going to be helpful.
Right?
Sounds like you're going to be a sorry cop. The sorriest cop
so
of all.
I think I ended up just choosing whatever. I didn't even know that, like, I could be special cops until, like, kind of late into the game. I never talked to Everett until, like, day 4 because I kept failing checks. But I decided, like, I was going a certain way, and so as a result, my interactions with Volition, because I was playing a different character, Volition's my dude, okay? Volition, I appreciate what he's doing for me. Also, he tried to save me, and I didn't listen to him, and every time I did not listen to Volition, I would take morale damage, or something would go wrong, and Volition, he was a dude, all right? He tried to help me. So anyway, just one quick thing I wanted to point out. So you said that like Kim's like skill, like Kim's icon. If you look, compare that to Inland Empire, he's the opposite of it because he is like completely not about anything Inland Empire does.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the big circle head.
Yeah,
there's a ton of that, and that's one of the things that I'll fucking glaze. I'm gonna glaze the shit out of Disco in this episode. But that's one of the many things that the game does with its art that like kept me like enraptured the whole time. But anyway, as you were saying, Alex.
So I feel kind of bad that I didn't like this game because I've been kind of gassed up on Disco Elysium being like the greatest fucking game ever by several people. You, Tequila Sunset, who's helped me with my art a lot, whose name I've discovered is from this game.
Yep.
Monty and my other Discord who also recommended Planescape Torment, which I also thought was really fucking boring. Side note, when I tried to show you what, like, yeah, the story apparently is, like, super good in Planescape, but here's what the gameplay looks like. I tried to get a video to show you a clip of that, and I had to skim through 3.5 hours of dialogue to then find a 10-second clip of the gameplay, of the intense gameplay, which is literally RuneScape's combat with less depth.
It is. It looks like you're playing RuneScape on a Super Nintendo.
It's a very old game. To be fair, it's very old.
It's but pretty like, fucking crunchy.
But like, when I'm trying to play this game, and I'm like I'm so like, this is the greatest game ever. I look at it, it looks like, look inside, it's RuneScape with less depth. That's kind of how I felt when I'm playing Disco. It's like, this is like the greatest written game ever. It's got like amazing dialogue. It's like I got this crazy world building. It's like, it's the best political content I've ever seen. Look inside. It's literally Velkin's Discord's political channel. like if I want to listen to what a Disco conversation talks like, I can literally go in there, ping somebody who I'm not going to throw his name under the bus. I'll literally ping this guy and just say actually, wouldn't communism work in a just society? I'll say some bait, and he'll come in and he'll just say, actually, communism and socialism could actually work in an all-white society, because in that situation it'd be high trust because everyone would be mono-ethnic and be on the same page. And I'm like, what do I need to play Disco for? This guy's right here. I literally don't need to play it.
Sit back and watch him go.
Yeah, I can literally just go in there and post bait. But I will say one thing. There's one thing that genuinely made me laugh in that game. That I thought was two things that genuinely made me laugh. That I thought were really, really funny. One, failing the skill check to flip that guy off in the bar and hitting the old lady and knocking her over. Or in my case, just eating shit and taking one hit of damage. That was kind of funny. And two was that fucking old lady on the boat on like the left side of the town. I asked her for $100, and so I asked her for money, and immediately Inland Empire was like, is what you wanted to say, but you, a self-respecting person would never be so low as to beg for money from this poor old lady. And then I go like, no, I want to beg for money. And then like fucking Valentina's like, no, you will not degrade yourself in this manner. And then I say, I want to beg for money. Then that yellow guy who looks like a fucking spider, I forget which one that one is.
That's Savvy. That's my boy.
Savvy was like, are you sure you wish to ask for $100? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, you asked for $100. And she's like, okay, here you go. It just gives me $100.
Savvy was trying to get you to ask for more money.
She gives you like $1 extra if you ask for more. By the way, yeah, I did, and I succeeded because I'm the best. But I was able to pay off my debt because I just begged for money. And I thought that was really, really funny that 3 of my inner thoughts tried to stop me from this, what seems to be a pretty fucking good idea, because I had to fucking pay my fucking debt to this fucking asshole.
So your skills will try their best to keep you alive. That's their goal. I think your run would have gone a lot better if you went like 5 in red and like 2 in purple. You just go full half light, go full schizo mode.
I probably should have done that. I would have had more fun, because like every time I was trying to have fun, the game would just keep telling, again, literally, hey, can I have money? Inland Empire literally tries to come in and tell me to stop having fun. Purple is just no fun allowed. Purple is just like, you want to play this game. Purple picks Toad in Mario Kart.
Okay, Alex, as a purple maxer, I'm going to agree with you here.
Like,
okay.
I think I thought because it had authority, I would be able to be an asshole. And he has like 1 chance to be an asshole, because every time authority tries to speak up, here comes Inland Empire, here comes Volition, here comes fucking the yellow guy, who I usually fail because I only have like 2 yellow. Like, I never get to have fun, whatever, like, cool. I thought, like, I was expecting I was thinking I was getting some knee slappers, and all I got was essentially a walkthrough, fucking, backseat gamer in my ear telling me to stop having fun. That's what purple is.
See, Alex, it sounds to me like you really just got kneecapped by your skill choice, and you could just start the game over really quick.
Oh yeah,
I think you could do that. So okay. So like there's a bunch of skills. I'm in the middle of my second playthrough, and already like the way that I've gone about the case has been completely different. My run before it was Inland Empire, Shivers, Esprit de Corps to be a cop, and I think Empathy. That was my other one.
Okay, cuck.
Because I was trying to be like Dale Cooper. I was trying to be very good. And turns out I got lucky choosing that, because those 2 options, Inland Empire and Shivers, give you like the most like detective noir stuff. Like Shivers would be the thing where it would just like a story beat would happen, and then all of a sudden Shivers would pop in and just give me a quick story about something like a metaphor happening within the city, right? Mm-hmm. And the camera would like zoom out and give me like a really good view, right? And it was just cool. It's also the most important skill in the game, and it's the one that you have to do to beat it. You have to pass a Shivers check.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's also, and this is the big spoiler, but if you look at the art for Shivers, Alex, it's like a head, like nerves and everything goes down the spine, right?
Yeah.
It's also an atomic bomb. Alex, you know what I found out at the end of Disco Elysium?
What?
There's an atomic bomb underneath Revachol. You know the Apocalypse Cop?
Oh, okay.
The whole time you're playing the game, like, Harry knows this, but he doesn't know that it's a fucking nuclear bomb. Shivers tells you at the very, very end of the game if you pass like a 18 difficulty check. But that's not okay. So Disco has like a million different endings and a million different different paths through the game, because you can't experience everything. You can't have a high purple and a high yellow and a high red, right? You've got to kind of choose 2. The game is built with like 4 ways to solve every single problem, and it's pretty crazy because they're all interesting and unique. Disco's great. The way that all of its systems work, I think, is incredible, and I hope every RPG that ever comes out again steals the skill as like a party member thing. I think that's a fantastic idea. So the big point of contention between me and Alex is that I played this game and I like fucking goo-gooshed so hard I hit my ceiling. And then Alex just kind of didn't hit. I think partially it was because you were streaming the game, and I kind of tried to warn you to be like, this is a story game. If you're streaming, you're going to be kind of fucking around and some things aren't going to hit for you, right?
Counterpoint. I think I'm not going to vibe with this game no matter what, because I have been recommended several story-based games, and I don't think any of them have ever actually landed with me. Now, I pulled up the skill sheet real fast. Tad, you look like Composure in real life. I will not elaborate. So,
dude, Composure is every skill in yellow is good. Dude, Composure is great. By the way, Alex, that is the skill that you need to have at a high level if you're going to do the secret quest to find the secret gay underground.
The secret gay underground. Fucking Inland Empire was my most talkative fucking guy, and then I would like sometimes get a Spirit de Corpse, but fucking bullshit about cops and like the distant lands. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So with these games. Several times I've been recommended these story-based games. Like this game, Disco. I was recommended the Gator game, I Want to Hug the Gator, which was like a visual novel. I've been recommended, digging up old wounds here, Final Fantasy XIV, and...
Oof. So, shout out, by the way, to Final Fantasy XIV. For those who don't know, that game got fucking butchered in its translation. It is not the same game that they created. A whole team of translators have just fucked this game up.
I didn't even know that, but hey, if I say the story was boring, yeah, you can always say you can blame the translators now.
Yeah,
but like
the fucking, because Dan from the D&D thing, he's been streaming himself retranslating it. It's a completely fucking different game. Oh. Characters are totally different. It's insane.
Well, that's interesting actually to hear. But what I was gonna say is, I think it might have been Final Fantasy XIV that really like broke me on this whole narrative shit, because like
how Final Fantasy XIV broke me.
Yeah, because the thing
every
is that,
YouTube video,
yeah. But the thing is that I played a handful of story games in the past. I mean, hell, we played story games like Phoenix Wright together. I don't think I can play Phoenix Wright again. I don't think I could ever play a new one, because I have a couple bunch on my 3DS. I haven't played them. Like, why am I going to sit here and be like, yeah, for me, it's reading a 40-hour-long book right now. I just worked 40 hours to work out in the hot sun. I want to get home and I want to just read. I want to read. Sit alone in my little corner and just read. I want to play Team Fortress 2. I learned this cool fucking jump on Barn Blitz Last on Red Team. You can jump up the mesh of the fucking wall up to that little locker room area and sneak behind the blue team and get some cool backstabs of spy. That's really cool. I like the mechanics of video games more nowadays, because after I played Fire Emblem, like unironically, once I got into that, I started to appreciate mechanics more in games, and I'm kind of becoming more of a mechanics enjoyer, because Fire Emblem has like a lot of just these little mechanics all building on top of each other, right? Where something like Disco is like a game where all these little narrative things are all building on top of each other. I just prefer mechanics and actually engaging with my product rather than just sitting here and reading and shit. Or in the case of Disco, being read to by not the best voice actors in the world who are all whispering into their microphones so their parents don't hear them. Yeah, I said it.
Alex, I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, he is making the most wrong opinions I've ever seen in my life. Just boom, boom, boom. Every time I think you're done, you got another one. Yeah, the voice actor Disco is just like bad.
Yeah, I said I don't like him.
I think you're literally the only person I've ever heard say that.
Okay, I'm gonna say it too. I thought the voice acting in Dark Souls 1 was also bad. I didn't like it. I didn't like everyone just whispering to me in the weird little British voice going, art thou so tarnivorish? Every fucking minute.
Kim Katsuragi, forgive me.
Literally me. Anyways, I'm throwing all the fucking bones out here. But back to 14. This will be quick. I'm going to bring up a really old point I made a long time ago, just for any new viewers or just to remind you. The reason why I kind of got broke on that game is after spending hours upon hours upon hours, 99 straight hours of this story just not entertaining me at all and just being really boring, right? 99 hours is a long time, Tad. 99 hours is a long time. And I'm just like, dude, I don't like any of these characters. Like someone asked me, like, who's your favorite of, like, the Scions? Or, like, your party members? I'm like, I don't like any of them. They're boring. What the fuck kind of question? Who cares? I was getting, like, increasingly frustrated because people were telling me, like, oh, this is so awesome. I love these characters. And, like, Ryan, who, like, played this fucking one quest line about this fucking tower with this fucking gay little cat boy. And he's like, oh, this story was so sad. Like, it got me a little teary-eyed and shit. I'm like, are we playing the same fucking game? This is so boring. This is so boring. I don't care. Where am I? Why
Is
get out of
everyone
here?
taking crazy pills?
It's like, am I playing the same shit? It's this complete nonsense, fucking constant backstory explanation.
Alex, it's that meme. It's the meme of the guy in the pool, and he's got water on him, and everyone else has piss.
like. It's so boring and lame and just like a nothing story. The only time I liked anything in Final Fantasy XIV was like the side quests, because they were like RuneScape side quests where they're like kind of cute and charming. Like the only time I had any fun was doing things that weren't the main story. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is when I played that game, I put a lot of time in it. 99 hours more than some of my favorite games I ever played. I was told by a certain fan who may or may not be in our podcast Discord still, who said, Alex, you just didn't really give it a chance. Tad, that still makes me angry. It's been like 3 years. That still makes me angry when I think about it sometimes. Because it's like, that's just objectively untrue. That is like, it's just a lie.
You can't, like I have an unfortunate amount of hours in old school RuneScape, but like I could tap once on my phone at work and then I don't look at it for 5 minutes. I don't think you could do that in Final Fantasy XIV. I think you actually have to play the game.
Exactly, yeah. I engage with this game a lot. And I did give it a chance. Fuck you, you're wrong. It's boring. It's boring and I didn't like it. And so, like, when people tell me to play, like, ever since then, whenever, like, I'm playing Planescape Torrent, Monty, who also really likes Disco, he's like, oh, like, Planescape Torrent 2 were the best writings I've ever, like, played, like, best stories I've ever read. And, like, him and Digger are like, when you play this game and you finish reading it, you're gonna hate that no other game is as well written as that. Card cut to me playing it, please. Gameplay footage of this game, of this crusty ass game where I walk up, hit a guy with like a skill, pause the game, target a spell, and then unpause the game to then kill him. Like I just goes, damn, and then I move on like as if nothing happened. How get this gripping gameplay with these really fun RPG mechanics? It's the most boring shit I've ever fucking played. It's so boring. It is boring. I don't want to come home or take my days off of work to just read mountains upon mountains upon mountains, over a cliffside, over a ravine, past an ocean of text that is completely irrelevant and bullshit. I have done that in the past with WoW, and all it did was get retconned constantly. I have done it with Final Fantasy XIV, and all it did was bore me. The only thing that I even like read now is the fucking Arknight story. And that's just because it has mildly decent world building. If it didn't have that, I would throw that away like Final Fantasy XIV, right? Like it has
you
one
don't have
aspect
to
I
talk
like.
to me about reading needlessly long text as nothing to do. Alex, I read a Homestuck.
And also, Ted, well, you say like, oh, Alex, I can't believe like you don't like these narrative things, bitch. Let's travel back in time to when we were like 13. You would like fucking force me to install Pester Chum and like tell me to read the next Homestuck shit. Like, dude, I'm trying to play WoW. I don't care.
Alex,
my opinion
you spent that time
hasn't
playing WoW.
My opinion actually hasn't changed that much. I don't like reading that much unless it has really, really good world building, like WoW used to have, or how Arknight's currently kind of does. And if I liked Warhammer, which I'm not into Warhammer, but I would probably like that because it has so much world building, right? That's kind of like the only thing I really give a shit about.
That's the craziest thing to me, is I'm like, that's what Disco does best, is that the world is so concrete.
I mean, maybe after a while, but like, why does it take me, let's say, 20 hours for the world to get interesting? Why can't it be interesting now?
It is interesting now.
Maybe what if welcome to fucking commie block, fucking post-revolutionary commie block country number 4,872. Bitch, that shit's in girls' fucking front line, alright? This Chinese gotcha has a better Revachol than Revachol. I said it. Fucking, who fucking cares? The fucking, oh, woo, it's world building. Everyone's a little dickbag and speaks in funny accents and whispers in the microphone so their parents don't fucking ground them. Ooh, there's a fat racist guy over there. Ooh, we have a Discord conversation with this other retard. Ooh, here's Kuno who calls you a faggot.
Ooh, in this RPG video game, I have to go talk to NPCs. My name's Alex. I'm just saying, Alex, would it have been better if you download like a custom portrait pack where it gave them like, you know, heavy black raincoats and like neon blue like fox ears? Would that maybe like that make the story better for you?
This one unironically, but no, fucking. Yeah, by the way, side note, here I'm completely out of left field. I was a little annoyed they censored the word faggot. Oh, what a gripping story,
Alex.
Chomo.
There's a fucking reason for that.
What
you're too small brain to get it.
Ooh, what a hard gripping political fucking story where you can't say faggot, you little faggot. Fucking say it. Have some
Alex,
bite to your fucking shitty little plot.
See, okay. Now I will say, when I saw that too, at first I'm like, that's interesting, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure
Weak.
I've been called worse things. Why is that? Like, a lot of people, I remember seeing this, they thought that like if you did the fascist route, it uncensored it. And then in other languages, they wouldn't censor it. It was only the American faggot. And I'm like, that's very weird. So then I found out, Alex, do you want to know what the reward is for finishing out the gay subquest?
What?
You kiss Kim Katsuragi and you find out that he's gay.
Oh, okay. What does that have to do with them censoring the word faggot?
Because, and it's never, this is one of those things, there's several things in the game that a little bit like Zanzibart. I'm just going to call these Zanzibarts, okay? It's a genre of data. So there are certain things in the game that exist in there, and the game does not directly tell you what this is related to anything. The biggest example of this is the fact that I did not know what the Pale was, and I don't think you ever discovered the Pale in your run, did you?
I was 5.5 hours in before I went to go play Team Fortress 2. No, I didn't discover I didn't open that door. Measurehead talked for an entire hour about shit I can read in Velkin's Discord server, and I just am like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? The shape of Kim's head shows that he is lactose intolerant. Typical E to F cauldron species.
You soft Kutko potato eaters.
I fucking post characters that are literally you.
So what I was saying before was that there's some of these Zanzibarts. Well, the thing that sold me on Disco, that kept me interested in the world. It's like when the game first starts, you don't have fucking anything. You don't know anything. When the game first started, I thought I was in like the Mediterranean or something. I'm like, I think this is on Earth. Like everyone's a human, right? I'm not seeing too much weird technology.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of radios, but like, I don't know where the fuck I am because the character doesn't know. Just the way that it introduced it to me, the world and all these people, is I was like, I want to know more about this setting because I don't know where the fuck I am. So I just went and I talked to everyone. I'm the kind of guy that when I play RuneScape, Alex, it takes me like 10 minutes to go through every like area because I right click and examine every fucking chair and table.
Understandable.
At first I was interested, right? I think I did the whole tower or whatever, where like you go into like the bookstore and like you could go in the back and there's like the haunted commercial district, right?
Yeah.
I think I did like that whole quest and then I saved and I was like, oh, that was interesting. I'm like, you can kind of see all these different businesses and it's like you had this lady at the top who was bright yellow. You know, the yellow is the, you know, suave-faire, you know, it's the fucking capitalist one. And I'm like, this is like the embodiment of that, like her demeanor and everything too. I'm like, okay, this is kind of fun and interesting. And then I was like hooked onto the detective part. I'm trying to figure things out. But it wasn't until I talked to Joyce and I just went through the dialogue options, you know, just talk to this old lady. And then, did you ever try the dialogue option where it's like, hold out your hands and ask what all this is?
Yes, and I don't remember what they said.
So I had like a 3% chance. I was like, fuck it, I'll try it. And I succeeded. And then Joyce was like, oh, you actually don't know anything, do you? And she's like, oh. And then Kim steps up and he's like telling me to stop. And Volition tells me to listen to Kim. And I'm like, what's going on here? Is this about to be like, am I about to get like a whole nother layer of shit? Like what? Why the fuck doesn't Kim want me to know this? And so, like, I listened to him and I backed off. And then I talked to him later and I was like, Kim, what the fuck was up with that? And so Kim was telling me, like, he's like, just don't worry about it. He's like, you don't need to talk to her about any of that. And I'm like, what the fuck? Am I about to get Truman showed? So Alex, well, I went back and I talked to Joyce because I just told Kim, like, I think authority spoke up and is like, you're a grown man. Tell him you want to know this. And I did that. And then Kim, like, he just threw his hands up. He said, okay, fine. And I was like, that's very weird. I don't know why Kim's acting like this. So then I talked to Joyce and she tells me about the Pale. So this is what I find out. This isn't on Earth, Alex. The world of Disco Elysium, there was it looked like Earth. It's like, imagine the flat Earth.
Okay.
Except you get to the ring and instead of Antarctica, it's just gray. And it's like this grayness, like Silent Hill shit. And you can go into it. But things get weird the further you get into it. And the setting is Revachol is during like, you know, it's like the equivalent of like Queen Victoria. Mm-hmm. They got to the Pale and they're like, what the fuck is this? And they realize that you can send radio signals through it and you can kind of keep an eye on it. So what they did is they set up relay stations and there's people that work there in those relay stations that are like you can talk to them, you can call them on the phone, and it's always like these really old ladies. There's like really old ladies that are like, this is the East Insulindian station. Like they sound like they're really old Russian grandmas. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? So what's happening is that they found the Pale, they set up this thing, and then they just sent a group of people just through it. They're like, we're just going to go in a straight line. And that's when they discovered Revachol. They found a fucking, like, a new world. Like, the same level of shock as when Europe found North and South America. Yeah, except it's through this, like, fog. And they're like, holy fuck. And it, like, changed the world. Because apparently the world was the same as ours up until this, which would have been, like, the 1700s, 1800s, right?
Okay.
When they were doing the Age of Exploration. And so I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, wow, oh my God. I was like fully invested at this point. Like I had like, my eyes did not leave the screen because I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And so then I started thinking about all the conversations I had with people. And then I'm like, hey, when I was in that bookstore, there was a book about pale remedies. And I'm like, I thought that pale remedies just meant like, it was about like making homegrown medicine. And then I remember when I was reading it, like, you know, when I read the book in game and I read it in real life, it was talking about like pale exposure. And I'm like, okay, I thought that just meant that they just have a lot of the medicine on them. So I asked her about the Pale and she's like, are you sure you want to know about it? She's like, you don't know about it? Like they kept asking me and I'm like, what the fuck? So she explains that every year the Pale gets closer by 5 feet.
Oh.
It is constantly expanding. And then I was like, holy fuck. Because then I realized, I'm like, this is an existential threat to this world. Like, there is a limited time and they don't know what to do about it. Because the longer you're in the Pale, you start to, like, disassociate. So that Pale driver lady, I had talked to her, I didn't know what Pale meant. She's basically a long-haul trucker. And she takes a highway that goes across, you know, the Pale. And that's why she's real fucked up because she spent so much time in there. So like when you talk to her, that's why she talks about her gender because she doesn't know where the fuck she is or who she is. Like the more you talk to her, I got really sad talking to her because you'll talk to her and she just talks about going to see the movies with this person. And you can ask him and he's like, that's not a person. He's like, that's not a real like movie actor. This is something that's just playing in her head. And like every now and then she'll say something that doesn't align with that. And it's like what she used to be coming back out. And I'm like, holy shit. And then I thought about every single conversation I had in the game up to that point, Alex. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like this all got recontextualized now. Because now I know that the Pale's a thing. And this is like the most important thing. And Kim was trying to protect me from it. Because he's like, if I can be, you know, in a world without Pale, yeah, I would like that. So I'm not going to tell Harry about it. I'm like, I gotta play through this game because I've never had that happen before. Where it's just like completely, because it's all stuff that made sense if I was really paying attention. But no one and that's why people will like, when you'll say weird shit to people, they don't immediately write you off as a schizo, right? Because, yeah, there are people that have pale, fucked up brains. It's actually not that uncommon.
They just assume
right?
you get fucked up by the pale at some point.
And that's why people won't just like throw you out of a building for talking crazy, because they're like, oh, yeah, his brain's fucked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like the game, I had like 3 or 4 times throughout the game, shit like that would happen, where I would learn some new story beat and be like, oh, fuck, and have to rethink like every conversation I was having with people, like when I was trying to solve the case or whatever, right? I would see an NPC too, like Kuno, right? Like Kuno's fun. It's a child, you can punch him, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get a game over by shooting him with a gun.
Oh, okay.
You can also get a game over by shooting yourself in the head with a gun. If you try to interact with the Titus boys and you fail the authority check, and then you fail it again, you'll say, take this, you fucking whore, and then you blow your brains out and you get a game over.
Oh, okay.
You can also sit on a chair that's so uncomfortable you die. If you sit on the chair in Everart's office, he brings you like the shittiest chair possible, and if you sit on it, it deals 1 health damage. And if you don't have anything to heal it, your character has a heart attack and dies.
Oh, okay.
I didn't understand like the world map, because when you talk to Joyce, she's like, they can't get into orbit. But they're like, if you look, it's like, I think it's like a giant planet that they're on or something. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't think the game currently has enough info for it. And normally I'm not one of those guys that are like super into like the epic deep lore, right? But I was able to find out all this information without going to a fucking wiki. I did not have to have fucking fextralife.discoelysium.com in the other window to know who fucking Kim Zanzubini is. You know how I can find out? By using common sense and connecting dots. Like, okay, here's one thing that I connected the dots on, and I was like, oh, that's really fucked up. So, okay. I'm going to keep it real here, Alex. There's a couple times in this game that I cried as a 29-year-old man. Like, it was that touching.
Oh, just like my friend in Final Fantasy 14.
Exactly. It was after I found out about the Pale, I went and I examined the statue in the center of Revachol. And I think the other one was meeting Dolores Day, which I did on an impulse. And that was one of the most soul-crushing things I've ever read in a game. Holy fuck, dude. And number three, I didn't cry, but I got misty-eyed when at the very end of the game when they were totaling up all my decisions. Because, spoiler alert, I let Kim down, Alex.
Oh.
He didn't trust me, and he got fucking shot because of me. And I felt like trash.
I would have been so happy not to have that sack of wet noodles follow me around.
So, okay, the thing that got me about the statue is, so there's a statue in the middle of Revachol. And if you examine it, Encyclopedia will give you a bunch of info. Basically, what happened with Revachol is
not
you
for
had...
me, because I have one in.
So Revachol got founded because a bunch of people in the DeLorean age, or I think it was New DeLorean age, I don't know what the fuck, whatever the queen's name was. Queen Victoria age, right? Mm-hmm. They came there and they settled it. And they're like, holy fuck, this is crazy. Oh my God, right? And then what happened is that became a kingdom. And the kingdom did really fucking well because it was in the New World and there was no like indigenous people. It was free real estate. You didn't have to slaughter anyone. You just got it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's why I'm going to go on the first commercial rocket I can to go to Mars, because I want to be a settler on Mars. Give me 60 acres on Mars, and the next 15 generations of my family will be set. It's like owning a property in New York City now, dude.
Okay, Martian.
If you own a single apartment there, you're good forever. But anyway, so like the statue, what really got me is, one, the art in the game is obviously fantastic. Like, you can agree with that, right?
I mean... If you're into like
impressionist style,
if you're into like artsy fartsy shit, sure.
It has a very strong impressionist, and I really like that. I thought that was really fun.
It's unique, but like I've never been like a guy who's like quote guy who is learning art. I think art is kind of gay, so it's like yeah, sure, logic is really cool and everything. Okay, Chomo. Like I don't like it's cool, but it's not like I do not appreciate classical looking like art and shit, or like this impressionist kind of shit like this, because I always think it is kind of try hard. Like, I don't have a nicer way to say it other than just like, yeah, I bet you think you're real cool with that, don't you? Don't you, rhetoric? But yeah, I actually think you're really cool for that.
I think they are. I think they are cool with it. Like the fact, like the art for like something like Half-Light, right, where it is someone like it captures it's a realistic depiction of a panic attack.
I think
right?
Everyone who compliments impressionist art looks like composure.
Yes, they are Chads.
The composure looks like the fucking he has the no chin like incel. Look at him.
Yes, composure, this skill does look like it's doing the no chin incel. Yes.
Yeah, that's like if you like super impressionist art because you think it's deep, I think you look like composure.
But what about stuff like Pain Threshold? Like, that's awesome. Or Physical Instrument. Physical Instrument is a chiseled fucking ripped body, and then the head is just a block. Right? Like, you don't think that's sick as hell?
I don't like impressionist art because I think it is made by people who think they're way cooler than they actually are.
Well, Alex, here's the thing. They are cooler. These are the coolest skill icons on Earth.
I think that, like, I quote guy from who's learning art, I think artists are fucking chuds and chomos.
So you just want every game to look like fucking, like, Final Fantasy V, like sprite recolors?
No, I didn't say that. I just said I don't like it. I do not like impressionist art.
You're
because
not allowed to dislike it.
It's hoity-toity fucking artsy shit, and I think that's gay. I don't like this kind of art. I think it is dumb, and everyone who likes it is like super delighted. Like Tad, I imagine you composured up to the side, sipping your fancy wine, reading your 18 encyclopedias on bullshit I don't care about.
Hey everyone, look at this chud over here. He relaxes by reading a book. What a faggot, right? That's what you sound like, Alex.
Tell him,
why isn't he jerking off and playing Bloons Tower Defense with anime girls on his phone like a real intellectual? Alex, you know what you look like?
Yeah, tell him, Kuno.
Alex, you look like reaction speed. Shaking your head really fast, okay? That's you look like saying all this shit.
Anyway, I think it's dumb and I don't like it. And what I've learned from like this kind of artsy shit, side note, Tad, I've realized that people who like the Transformers movies are completely correct. Sometimes I do just want explosion funny. Maybe I just don't care. Maybe you know what, alien coming down to visit me? I got a lot going on. I don't really care what you're gonna bring us. Go ahead. Yes, conceptualization. I will get it twisted. I will watch Speed Racer 2008.
Dude, all right, I'm gonna say it by the way. Okay. So my second playthrough, I ended up going art cop. I was going to be cold hard capitalist, baby, but conceptualization, god damn it, he got it twisted. I love him so much.
Also, if I had to pick anyone who's my favorite, it's electrochemistry. He comes on so strong immediately, and he's just consistently funny. He's probably the funniest one in there.
Electrochemistry is pretty fun. All right, Alex, here, I'm going to send you this. All right. This is the statue that I'm talking about. So the statue... This is why it because I'm like genuinely like I'm like taken aback by like the payola thing because I did not see any of that coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking about like what it must be like to live in a world like this, where you literally all the time in the back of your mind like humanity has 100 generations left before it's completely gone, or less than that because. By let's say 100 years from now, all of a sudden it's 500 feet shorter in a circle all around you, which is 1,000 feet. So you just lost half a mile in 5 years, right? Like, there's not that many fucking miles, right? Like, these patches aren't that big.
But I have a question. You said that Revachol was in the Pale, so wouldn't everyone in this town just be fucked up all the time anyway?
Well, it was, they went through the Pale. Through the use of radio waves, they were able to, like, triangulate positions to go straight and not end up going in circles. So first thing, in the artwork, Alex, look at the sky behind you. That's a giant explosion. That's either a nuclear bomb or it's the player themselves coming into the game, which is equally as destructive. But I'll get to that hoity-toity shit later. But it is an explosion in the clouds.
Chad,
yes.
Please post a picture of composure when Ted says shit like that.
Well, Alex, you're going to need a lot of composures because I'm going to be saying shit like that for the next 4 hours.
No. By all means, go ahead.
All right. So here's what it was about the horse that made me feel really bad. So what this is, we investigate it. So Revachol, when it was first founded, there was a king and it ran beautifully. And it ran beautifully by his son. It worked. And then his third son, one of the things electrochemistry can help you with is there's a rumor that the third king of Revachol's his skull is somewhere on the beach, and inside of it is 15 pounds of cocaine.
Yes, they mentioned that he did a fuck ton of cocaine. Electrochemistry was mentioning the cocaine constantly, that I should go get some, and I should just do as much as possible. If I can't get any, conceptualize it. Think about the cocaine. Think about snorting that sweet, white, powdery goodness.
Hell yeah. So, I didn't even notice in the art that I sent you, he's on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's on top of it in the game. No. Anyway, so yeah, what this horse is, what the statue is it's in the middle of this district of Revachol, which is battle damaged. Like the coalition, which is basically a bunch of companies from back on like old Earth, are like, hey, you have too much control over this. This is incredibly important. It would be like owning the Panama Canal, right?
Yeah.
The rest of the world is like, we can't let you have this. So that's what the coalition came in. There was the fascists under the monarchy, and then the communists took over, killed a shitload of people, right?
Of course.
Then the coalition came in and then took over from the communists easily because they couldn't withstand anything. But this area that you play the game in is like buildings have holes in them. Like roofs are broken from battle damage from cannonballs and shit.
Yep.
Like it's actively war torn. You're only here like 70 years after the war, after the revolution, or even less than that. Less than that. It's like 20 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely less because there's that old guy you talked to on the beach who's like a veteran of the war. Yeah, and there's literally like a crater from a bomb that they're just playing a fucking like ball game in.
Yeah. Did you take your impulsive thought and throw that in the ocean like I did?
I didn't actually have that. I tried to make the throw. I had an 84% success rate, and I failed it and lost morale.
See, this is another short thing. I swear I'll talk about the horse thing in a second. But one of the things I love about Disco is that if you fail a check, it doesn't gate you from it. Like several times I would fail a check and then something else would happen. Like I was talking to a bunch of speed freaks inside their tent.
Well, you say that, but then there's also the body, which kind of gates you until you can eventually take it down.
Well, you don't actually have to ever take down the body. You can go through the rest of the game and you never actually have to interact with the body.
Interesting. I tried to take it down, threw up, got the ambrosia, tried to take it down, threw up again, leveled up yellow.
Sounds right.
Leveled up one of my yellow things to then be able to take the body down, because you remember when you level up a skill, you can get another chance. Failed again, just said, okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah, that happened to me. That's why I didn't see Everard until day 4, because I tried to sneak up to jump past the barrier in there, and I couldn't do it. I failed the check twice. I put a point in it, failed it again, and said, "Fuck it, I don't want to save scum it." So, an example of a skill check failure that was more entertaining than if I succeeded was talking to these meth heads in the tent. I failed the skill check to grab the keys when they tossed them at me. So instead, the keys hit me in the eye, and I got to freak out on him. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, officer. Maybe this makes it up for you." And then I got the keys and $20. And another one, I was talking to the dude's girlfriend that was outside on the ice, and I was trying to give her my hat so that she could stay warm. And she's like, "Oh, no thanks. I'm fine." And so I failed the empathy skill check, and I had a full-blown fucking meltdown on the ice, dude. Like, Harry would like, oh, no, you don't want my hat then, huh? I'm just some dumbass cop out here on the ice with his fucking hat, huh? You're gonna do this right here on the ice? Start crying. I have a full fucking meltdown, and then I walk away, and Kim chides up like, are you good? Are you good, man? It was fun. And then I found out, by the way, that scene, if you have a high enough Espira de Corps, the police are watching you. Your old partner is watching you, and he's so disappointed.
Oh, okay.
All right, anyway. So yeah, what got me about the statue was you are in the fucking main square of this part of Revachol. There's war damage all around you. And this is an artistic statue. So one of the companies that took over your land paid an artist to make this statue of your old king. Granted, he was a shithead who only snorted coke until he died. They have him and they took the pieces of the horse and all the pieces that were salvageable, right? But as a result, it looks like it's actively being exploded. And it's just there in your city, your conquest forever, made into an art form by someone who doesn't care, in your place, just showing off like, yeah, we completely fucked your entire country. This is ours now. You're never going to get back. We were making a joke out of it, and we're going to pretend like it's something you wanted. And I'm like, God, that would be horrible to see every day.
That would be horrible to see every day. You should look at the demoralizing architecture that they keep putting up in cities. That never happens in real life, haha.
Yeah. So like that was one that really stuck out to me. I was like, damn, dude. What a fucking God, this world sucks. This fucking sucks to live here. Okay, so the last one that like really fucking got me was Dolores Day. So one of the things that piqued my interest immediately when I started the game was I talked to Lena, the cryptozoologist's wife. Number one, I was like, there's fucking Sasquatch in this game? Right? That immediately, I was like, I did not expect to see any kind of fucking Sam Squanch or nothing like that. Like that is not... Isn't this supposed to be like a game about politics? Was the thing that really caught my interest was when she told me that there was a church down there. Because I'm like, what the fuck is this? Is the religion in this world? So the religion is super fucking interesting. So one of the first things that were built in Revachol were 7 different churches on the beach. And the churches in there is Dolores Day. And it's like a big broken stained glass window. So it's not something that's super obvious right at the start, but every single depiction of Dolores Day looks like his ex-wife.
Oh, okay.
So this is what Volition tries to protect you from. Did you ever find the apricot chewing gum?
No.
It would have been in the same garbage can you found the racist mug.
No, but I do remember a guy saying expressive, and you say X. X reminds me of something, and I clicked that option, and it just immediately gave me morale damage and told me not to think about it.
That's what Volition does, baby. He tries to get you out of there. So, like, I'm kind of going crazy. 1, because it's 2:30 in the morning, and 2, my notes are all kind of scattered with this. So my main thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about Harry's story and how it relates to Dolores Day and all this stuff and how it all ties into him, his ex-wife, and the overall theme of the game with all these people that are obsessed with politics, obsessed with the past, etc., etc. Are there any characters that you want me to tell you about in this game that you were like, this was an interesting one. What happens to them in the game? And I'll let you know.
Who was smuggling the drugs? I think it was the fucking, like, kind of laid-back hippie guy.
So I actually don't know, because when I talked to the laid-back hippie guy, he told me, and he's like, listen, man, she's a good kid. You know, she didn't want to get wrapped up in all this. And he's basically begging me not to do it. And both times I was like, fuck. All right, fine. And I abandoned it because I'm like, this isn't going to lead me to anything with the murder, right? Mm-hmm. I had no reason to think, because I was doing like the thing where I was pretending to be, you know, like Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks. I was like, he was being very nice to me. He gave me all this information, and I was like, I don't want to betray his trust. Fuck it. So I actually don't know. the game is littered with a lot of stuff like that, where like you'll talk to someone and you won't realize that there's anything important happening. For example, there's a lady outside the bookstore. When you talk to her, you're like, is your husband missing, ma'am? She's like, no. He's like, I don't know where he is. He's fine. He's not gone. Did you ever encounter that lady?
No, I don't think so.
I think she's on like day 2. But yeah, you like harass her until she gives you a quest, and then you go and it's like, what kind of cockatoo are you? And it's just like a fun little thing. So later on, you find a dead body on the pier, Alex.
Okay.
And you run you call the number, you get his library card, you find out his name, you go to the apartment, you knock on it, tell him he's dead, it opens it up, and it's the lady, Alex.
Oh, okay.
That was a rough conversation because they treat it very seriously. Sure, her husband died. He just fell through the pier. His foot went through and he hit his head on a bench. Just an accident,
Yeah.
And there's like all these little stories like that throughout the game where it'll be like, you'll have something kind of funny and crazy going on in one section. Then right over here, and it doesn't feel unnatural. Just right over here, you have something like that. That's like very grounded and very deadly serious, Which is just like something that Twin Peaks does. Twin Peaks does that all the time. In the same fucking episode of Twin Peaks, you'll have a little dude in a tiny red suit doing a funky little dance in a room, right?
Yeah.
And then 30 minutes later, it shows fucking father-daughter rape. Like it's fucking... Twin Peaks is crazy on how much it can flip-flop and it doesn't feel, wrong because it's paced so properly. But what's another character you want to know about? Because I know about just about every character in the game, what happens to them, or at least what happens to them in my run.
Well, I didn't meet that many characters that I really gave a shit about, so I kind of, instead of like who was smuggling the drugs, I like don't really.
What about Kuno?
I mean, I know you can...
Would you believe me if I told you Kuno became my extra party member?
I actually knew that because I think someone spoiled that earlier. You can totally, like, bro up with Kuno and, like help him turn his life around and shit. I know you can do that.
So, one of the things you can do with conceptualization is just this big wall. And you can paint it, and you can put a saying on it. And it's like, you can wait until at any point in the game to finally do it. And one of the options is it just says, I love you, Kuno. And that's it. You just write that on the wall.
Aww.
And like, what's going on with Kuno's thing? So here's the story of what's up with Kuno. So if you do the Kuno stuff, you keep talking to him. Eventually, he tells you that he has some speed that he'll give you, right?
Okay.
But the problem is you got to go get it from his dad, right? So he tells you, he's like, oh yeah, me dad's a big fucking piece of shit. He'll fucking beat the shit out of you, right? So you go there, and Kim's like, are we really about to do a breaking and entering to steal drugs for a child? And you're like, yes, we are, Kim. So you bust in there, Alex, right? You're getting ready. And his dad is just passed out in the bed, drunk as shit. He can't do anything. He's completely useless. He's not a threat to anyone. He's just wasting away on alcoholism.
Yeah.
So you just go in there, you grab it, and that's it. And then I was like, oh, that's why Kuno's all fucked up, Like, his mom's not there. His dad's a useless, drunk piece of shit,
Yeah.
And then Kuno doesn't know who the fuck she is. Like, she's just like him. She's just some fucking random kid. But through piecing things together, there's a good chance that she was involved in like fucking snuff films and shit. Because there's like you find like a bunch of underground shit that's happening throughout that area of Revachol. And like part of them is that people are producing essentially snuff radio shows.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, Kunes is so fucked up that like you can't ever get a straight answer out of her, and neither can Kuno. The only reason he keeps her around is Kuno knows that without him around, she would go fucking nuts and she would probably get suicided by cop. So he's like trying to keep this psycho bitch, from going insane. So like when you try to talk to him about this too, he tells you, he's like, listen, man, I'm worried about her. She's fucking crazy, but she can't tell that I'm talking to you. So he's like, I'm gonna call you a faggot again. It's just like stuff like that, right?
All right.
What ended up happening in mine was after Kim got shot and I was at the final section of the game, Kuno is like, listen, man, I got the scent of pig all over me. He's like, I can't stay here. I'm fucked. Right. And he was like, essentially begging you to like join because he's got nothing left. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, you know. Another fun thing with Kuno is there's a lady that lives in the fishing village. And Kuno talks mad shit about everyone, right? He says everyone's a piece of shit. When you ask about the fishing lady, he goes, oh, yeah, and then there's this lady, her name's Lillian, she's nice. And he says it like that. And I'm like, oh, that's really sweet. So in my game, what ended up happening is me and Kuno found a thing, right? I'll talk about the very ending of the game and how I thought it was fucking crazy for me, too. But Kuno was there. And because I was a good boy, there was like the final roundup where you talk to your old police partner and they kind of do a roundup of everything you've done. And they were like, okay, he helped X, Y, and like Kuno was backing me up the whole time too.
Damn, right? All right.
So he's like, this fucking pig I saw him doing yada, yada, yada. Right. And of course he has his own like spin on it. So like, if they're like, how do we know that how do we know that Dubois did X, Y, or Z? And like Kuno will get like super fucking pissed at him, right? Because that's who he is. Like he has respect for you at the end of the game because you've done a bunch of shit. And he ends up getting, in my run at least, he is like 14 years old. So what they do is they lie on the paperwork to say that he's 16 so that he can join as like an early cadet.
Huh.
To join the police force. And then if you look around at like concept art and shit, there's like him as like a teenager in like the police uniform and shit, and he's got like his hair's cut properly.
That's cute.
But anyway, like that's what's up with Kuno, and then like there's all these other things you can do with him that I never got to see, right? Like Kuno's an artist, but I didn't get to see any of that because I didn't have conceptualization in that first run. What happened multiple times throughout the game, Alex, is I would talk to NPCs and write them off as one note. Like, oh, this is a shitty little kid, right? Mm-hmm. He's just a shitty trailer trash kid. But no, there's actually a lot more going on. Like the bookstore lady. I talked to her and I'm like, oh, she's like a pearl clutching crazy lady. Not really. Like when you go through the whole quest line, you interact with everything, you find out that she's like extremely worried about like just trying to have a job in this area because she needs the money to support her kids because her husband's unemployed because of X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Or Joyce. I thought Joyce was just going to be like a rich bastard, but she's not. Like Joyce understands what's going on with Harry because she's also like, if you noticed, she's kind of young, but her hair is like stark white and she has like a glazed over look in her eyes and she talks weird. Yeah. Because she is also fucked in the head from Pale because she would make that travel for work back and forth between the main place and out here because she works for the shipping company. And it's like, there's all of these little things in the game that like, yes, she would have a little bit of Pale damage. That makes sense. This world makes sense when they're doing these kind of things. And like everything in the game is backed up by something like that. Like there is a reason and a justification for like everything, right? Mm-hmm. So there's no other NPCs that you really gave too much of a shit about, right?
Well, I didn't get that far in the game, so it's like I know what happens with Kim. You just explained the one lady, and there's Measurehead, but he's just a racist. I don't care that much about Measurehead. He's funny, right? Post character said like I didn't get that far because at the end of the day, I was just kind of like bored.
The world wasn't clicking with you, and I think it was because you were streaming, and also the thing you were trying to play, your stats were unfortunately getting in the way.
Well, also I think I was sold a different game. I think people say this like. I wanted the funny game, and this game, while it does definitely have a lot of humor, it's clearly got more going on, and I feel like that's just not what I really want. And because like, if the game isn't making me fucking lose my fucking mind, like, I can be playing Team Fortress 2 right now, dude. Like, I can be hitting up Fortnite with the boys with friend group A, B, or even C. I've got like things I couldn't be doing. Like, I'm in another Discord connecting with artists and playing, like, Fortnite with them and shit and getting, like, art tips. That is, like, 30 times more useful than just sitting alone playing this fucking, like, heavy, like, narrative game, right? I can play both a game that is more like more mechanically interesting because I'm just more into that, and also I can be networking with artists.
Yeah, like, I found the mechanics and how they tied in because they were all like, your reward for doing stuff in Disco is dialogue. Like, you get more dialogue. There's like a really funny line, or there's some more info. See, I think that's cool. I'm fine with that as a reward because, okay, if the setting, if the characters, if the humor was even like 10% worse in this game, I would be like, oh, fuck this. Like, so something where it's like something that'll have like an equal level of like, you know, deep lore would be like something like Fear and Hunger, right? There's like a whole bunch of shit going on, except it's just Berserk. It's always just fucking Berserk. They just copy it.
Fear and Hunger is a wiki game. Changed my mind.
It is 100% because the game sucks. The game sucks.
Side note, I did not like Fear and Hunger at all. I was sold this really cool, crazy, randomly generated, like, hard game, and it's just kind of like a mildly difficult, like, kind of obtuse wiki game. You know what I mean? So, Tad, how uninterested I've been getting into, like, narratives in games lately. I have completely turned on FromSoft, aka FromSlop's method of storytelling. I went from, like, guys, that Zanzibar meme is not that funny, to playing the Elden Ring DLC, to going, like, I completely agree, Zanzibart, forgive me. Oh my god. I got, like, so, like, the illusion was broken. I'm gonna rant on Dark Souls 3, Elden Ring's DLC real fast. The illusion was broken once I got to that fucking game's fucking bullshit boss. The final boss reveal, which was a massive retcon to the fucking, like, earlier lore with Godwin and shit. Like, they imagine playing Dark Souls 4, and the final boss is Ornstein. I like Ornstein, but he's not final boss worthy, right? Like, like, they revive, but this is spoilers, they revive Radon, and Mikola wants to have gay sex with his half-brother, Radon, and you're like, they literally never talk to each other at all. In fact, his, like, right-hand girl, aka sister, literally tried to fight and kill Radon. This makes literally zero sense. Everything Mikola did, and all of his servants you meet across, like the Eclipse guys at Soul Castle, and the Halig Tree, it's like, what about Godwin? His entire point was to revive Godwin. Like, the statues in his area, the Halig Tree, are about Godwin, like, protecting the two siblings. Like, this makes no sense. And so I like, was snapped out of the illusion of, like, oh, Miyazaki's got, like, a plan. I'm like, oh, he's just making shit up. He doesn't actually know what the fuck he's doing, right? Like, the illusion was shattered by that one big retcon, and also the final boss itself being just dog shit. And so it's like the final boss wasn't satisfying because, again, it's Radon. It's the mid boss of the base game, just redone over. It's not a new unique thing to finish off the fucking game, right? Plus the retcon story, plus, like, the exploration of Elden Ring's DLC is oh, I went through a whole dungeon, dropped down 2 ledges, and fought an elite enemy. What do I get? Smithing Stone 2. That is literally vendor trash. You can buy smithing stones from the Husk Maidens in the hub area. All across the DLC, it's cookbooks for crafting, smithing stones, it's vendor trash, vendor trash, vendor trash, a flower, vendor trash, maybe a weapon. It's dog shit. They could have put anything else. They could put Arteria leaves, or Atlas blooms, or more larval tears for respecking. Like, there are plenty of items that they could have just put that were, like, useful for crafting or useful for respecking. But it's literally vendor trash. Like, I climbed through a whole dungeon for vendor trash. That's what pisses me off. So, like, the exploration felt like shit. The story was worse. Do an NPC quest line, they disappear from the... I walk forward too far, all the NPCs disappear, see them later breathing really heavily, leaning on a wall or dying. Thou art truly tarnivorous. Dies, pick up item, it's dog shit. Like, that's that whole DLC. Like, it's... The entire illusion of FromSoft's design was broken to me by that DLC. I think they're just not actually all that great. They're just really, like, they have been making the same jank since Kingsfield, but people just got really hopped out of that fucking Kool-Aid of lore. And they will forgive a lot of easy mistakes that they make.
Yep. When I found out I couldn't actually save Solare unless I like went back in time, I was like, "Oh, this is gay. I'm not doing this." Oh, or no, it was Bloodborne that really made me not even try, because I think I talked to the crow lady, and then I was like, "Oh, cool. I wonder where she's at now." And I looked up, and it's like, "Oh, you have to go to this area." I'm like, "There's literally no reason I would ever look for her there." The game expects me to check every single area every time I unlock one new screen. Never mind, I'm not doing that.
I mean, wiki game.
So, okay. The plot line of Disco Elysium is, you are a detective, you are solving this murder. When you do finally solve the murder, I had a high inland empire, I followed all of my gut, I went with my gut, I went with all these different things. I want to complain to the people who made this game. So, I didn't get the terrible necktie until like day 4, because I didn't turn the lamp off, or the fan, I tried to grab it, I failed it. And then I put 1 point into it, tried it again, failed it, said fuck it, right?
Yeah.
So I had the blue spirits and I had the tie. I got to the final confrontation and I must have missed a fucking flag, because I didn't have shit for the final confrontation. Like, there's a final thing and it's like you kind of add up everything. And I got fucked on that. I had everything I needed to make a Molotov cocktail, but it didn't work, right? I found the secret Hardy Boy. I got close to her. And she fucking blew her brains out because I couldn't talk her down because my rhetoric was too low, right?
Yeah.
And then Kim's like, we can take her gun. I feel like we're going to need it. And I was first, I'm like, oh, okay, let me put her in the tent first because it feels weird to just loot the gun from a dead body. I did that, and then I wasn't able to pick up the gun.
Oh, okay.
So I went into the final confrontation. I did everything to have all my tools available, but I just fucked it up at the last second. So that's why Kim got shot.
Oh, okay.
You do that, you end up finding who did it, right? And then you turn them in. When you do that, you interact with like this was another like fucking wild thing that changed like the whole setting for me again. Is you find, if you've done everything, you will find the East Insulindian Phasmid. And I had Kuno with me, and Kuno's like, holy shit. There's a giant stick bug behind you. And then the thing fucking talks to me.
Okay.
What it tells me is that I am a beautiful and destructive creature that cannot be contained. My birth is the death of the universe.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Right?
Uh-huh.
So what I'm pretty sure that's about. So remember I sent you that art of the sky and the tree and stuff?
Yeah.
So there's this thing that you can find out about disco in the world, in the setting, called a magpie. So taking it back to those churches. And remember, this is all information that I was able to glean from within the game. I did not pull up a wiki for any of this shit.
Okay.
So these churches are set up, and what it is these churches are set up naturally. People will congregate around a point. So you find out another terrifying thing at the end of a quest, right? There's a quest where these people are making a game, and all of a sudden, like, all their data got wiped, and no one can figure out why, and it caused the game studio to fail, right? You can interact with the lead programmer from there. She's in the church because she's trying to find out what the fuck happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know how there's like the pale outside and it's constantly encroaching?
Yeah.
All right, so there's a pocket of pale that opened up inside of the church.
Oh, okay.
And what does Harry do? He puts his head right into it.
Oh, okay.
So there's this whole religious setup. Like when the new world was discovered, the world was like it changed everything, right? Like imagine if we landed on Mars and there actually was a full civilization there, right?
Yeah.
It would change fucking everything. Every religion would have to go through a major like reconstruction period because it would no longer fit, right?
Yeah.
So what happens with the church is the church is set up, and they are the Church of the Innocentia. So what an innocence is every now and then there's a person, someone in history is like incredibly powerful and incredibly influential. The most recent one was Dolores Day, the innocence of humanity. And her like symbol is she has like these glowing lungs, right?
Okay.
And also she looks exactly like his ex-wife, right?
Uh-huh.
it says in the game multiple times that there's a lot of parallels that can be compared. Like, it's like in some of the books that you can read about the Innocences, it says that she left her husband and her husband faded into obscurity. Whether that's actually Harry or not, I mean, it's up to interpretation, and depending on the choices you make in game, kind of lend evidence to one side or the other, right?
All right.
Same with the fact that, like, if you don't pursue the gay quest, you know, you're never gonna kiss Kim Katsuragi, right?
Yeah.
So you can't say that. That's why faggot is censored, by the way. That's kind of the theory that I have, is that it's like a deeply internalized thing with Harry, and it only ever comes up if you pursue it really hard, right?
Okay.
Like, you have to go through a whole quest, you have to do a whole bunch of things. And that's like an aspect of Harry that may or may not be canonical, right? When I talked to this Phasmid thing, and it blew my mind, because I'm like, what the fuck is this thing talking about? And then I realized, I'm like, okay, some of the connections that I made talking to different people in the game, talking to Kim, reading the books about the Innocences, and just kind of connecting things in my mind. So the term magpie is someone that seems to be able to navigate the Pale perfectly fine. And they can navigate it so well that they can manifest its effects themselves without knowing it.
Oh, okay.
So Harry is probably a magpie. Or the magpie is you, the player.
Oh.
Because think about it, right? I, the player, can make anything happen in the game. I can make Harry do anything. I can punch Kuno, right? I can destroy Revachol. That's why in that art there's the giant nuclear explosion. Is the nuclear explosion literally a bomb that the Coalition put in Revachol to blow it up if it ever got too out of control? Maybe. Is it the player coming in, being beautiful, unstoppable, and powerful? Right? So, like, my current theory is that Harry is a magpie because the player has control of him. If you want to go linearly, when he put his head in the hole there, that might have been when he, like something in his brain just went boop, boop, and, like, opened up, and he got access to it, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, like, one of the things that you could do in the church that I think is impactful and is very narratively cool is that the stained glass is broken, right? So you can't actually see the middle of it. So what you do is you can kind of reconstruct the glass. You can find pieces of it. But you can also, Harry has this urge to, like, if you have, like, the action figure from, like, the store, he just offers it to her, like a religious altar, because he's, like, so desperate to get his wife back. One of the things that fucked me up, and I felt really bad I didn't listen to Volition, is there's a payphone somewhere. If you go to it, you can just kind of, like, dial numbers, and it's just, like, funny stuff, right? Like, you're basically calling someone, and it's just random people, and they have their own, like, voices and their own things going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's just funny shit you can say to them. And then Volition tells you, all right, that's enough. If you ignore him, you just take over, and if you fail the skill check, your finger automatically types in, like, 15 numbers, and then it types in, like, 15 more, then it types in 10 more. So then it rings, and 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 then a man picks up, right? And it's, like, really crackly. And Volition is like, oh, God, here we go.
Okay.
And then the man is like, hello? I don't know. He hands the phone over. The person that answers goes, hello? Oh, Harry. Harry, you shouldn't have called. Take, like, fucking 5 morale. It's his wife.
Oh.
He called his ex-wife, and another man answered the phone, dude. So here's what happened with Harry. Here's Harry's whole story. And you find this out through various parts of the game. So Harry is a gym teacher.
Okay.
He's just a gym teacher. And what does a gym teacher do, Alex? I actually found out this is actually what a gym teacher does, is they don't just randomly choose, like, games for kids to play. They will take stuff to build, like, teamwork and, like, work out certain aspects of, like, whatever these kids need, right?
Yeah.
It's more to, like, get kids more acclimated socially and more used to the idea of working with other people. Like, there is actually, like, it's kind of significant the amount of work you have to do as a PE teacher. So his wife wants Harry to be more than that. So she pushes him, like, hey, why don't you join the RCM? You know, you can help people, you can keep the city safe. And he's like, all right, sure, I'll do it. And he sees some fucked up shit. Because think about what you do in this game, right, Alex? Mm-hmm. You do throw up when you see a dead, rotting corpse that's been in a tree for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
But Harry will put his hand inside of a corpse's mouth into its brain and pull out the bullet, and he doesn't react, right?
Yeah.
The fucking expression on his face, right? It's an expression of pain, right? He has that locked onto his face because he's like fucking disassociated so hard from all the horrific shit that he's seen. So obviously he comes back and they start getting distant from each other, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like feeling super guilty because she's like, oh my God, I fucking did this to him. Because she was the one that pushed for him to join the RCM. He did it for her. He comes back and he's all fucked up, right?
Yeah.
He's not the same man. So she leaves him for another man, right? And then Harry goes, if you ever found the badge, one of the things you could do is Kim like scans it to find out what it is. And he finds out that you've solved like 213 cases.
Oh.
And you've been a member of the RCM for like 8 years. Or no, it was like 15 years, I think. And he's like, that's an average of 1 1/3 cases per week. He's like, that's exceptional. And you find out that you're like a lieutenant double freator, which means that you've refused promotion twice. So you take all that information and put it together, you see that once she left, he went even harder into the police work, right? And that's when he starts getting on speed, when he starts drinking, when he starts doing all this shit, and he starts acting like a total fucking cunt to all of his team. Because on day 2 or 3, your actual partner is in the whirling in rags in like a super shitty disguise. And there's a lady there that when you talk to her, one of your options is, I'm sorry, but for some reason, I think of you as horse-faced girl. If you do that, she gets really sad.
Aww.
And then her name becomes Sad Horse-Faced Girl. You could just do rude shit. So, like, Harry becomes a real piece of shit, right? She comes back because they kind of get back together, right? But the damage is done. They stay together, but she cheats on him, right? And then when I'm in the final section of the game, Kuno, and I assume if Kim was with you, he would tell you this as well. I get to the final area and they're like, hey man, you look really bad. Like, you should take a rest. They're like, just take a rest on this bed, man. You really need the sleep. So you do that, right? Or you don't do it. Matt didn't do it. He did not get this scene. He did not get this fucking gut-wrenching scene. I did it just because I'm like, I think Kuno's right. I just have a feeling he's right. So I do that, I fall asleep. And then I wake up, and it's like a really cool, like, transitional scene where, like, you leave the area, and Kuno's gone. No one's there. And you start walking out into the ocean. And then you keep going, keep going. And all of a sudden, you're at the airport. Right? And who's there? It's Dolores Day. And this is where, like, my skills were like, oh, gee, like, Volition is like, you gotta wake up now, dude. You gotta wake up now. And then he gets, like, silenced. And he's like, yeah, I can't do anything. What's happening is that in the dream, this is what happened in real life, right? So she came back, but he's so fucked up they can't. She cheats. When you go to see her in the dream, Perception, I wish he kept his fucking mouth shut, but he's like, it's the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. He's like, this is Dolores Day, the innocentia of humanity. You can, and it like describes, like she's wearing like a thin dress. He's like, you can see, her breasts, you see her hips. You see a bump right where her belly would be.
Oh.
She's leaving, she's pregnant with the other man, and this is where she, left to get literally as far away from you as possible. So the whole conversation is basically Harry, like, trying to plead with her to stay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, like, suggestion is like, why don't you tell her that you need this, right? And I select that, and then she, like, reads it out, and, like, I take, like, 2 morale damage, and then suggestion pops up. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. Don't ever listen to me. I'm wrong forever, right? Like, my skills were completely, like, annihilated by her presence, right? Because that's how important she was to Harry.
Yeah.
After she left, right? Because obviously she doesn't stay. Harry goes even harder and harder and harder until the start of the game is when he gets so fucked up he forgets that gay people exist. And he just gets so fucked up when he goes out to this case that he just resets. Just like, kink. He comes back, and now you, the player, have control of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's either at that point, if it's chronological, that's when the magpie stuff happened, right? Because now the player has agency over him. You know, you basically connected to his, brain. Because who's the first character you talk to, Alex? It's the lizard brain.
The lizard brain. That is true. That is.
So the way that connects to everything else in the game, right? The overarching theme of the game, if you follow through on all these different political quests, what happens in the end is it's like, none of this actually fucking matters. Like, look at someone like Renee. If you talk to Renee, you'll come to see that he is like, everything was better when the fascists were in control. Yes, the king had a coke problem, but he had a lineage that, successfully guided Revachol for generations. And he's like, if we could just go back, things would be better, right? If Harry could just go back to being with, Dolores Day, things would be better.
Back as a gym teacher before he got all fucked up.
Yep, even with her just back in his life, that's all he would want, even just that. Preferably, yes, to go back before he's all fucked up and broken, But, like, all these people that'll have these extremely, deep political ties, the more you interact with them, the longer the game goes on, it's like, this isn't actually the problem that you're having. Like, your problem is not that the fucking, like, there's the guy, the crypto fascist, who unfortunately I did not meet. I really wanted to. I have no idea where he is. I know he's like the cryptozoologist's husband. It's his assistant, but I never found him after that. I don't know where the fuck he went. But, like, there's people like that, like Measurehead. Measurehead is a racist, and same with the fat weird guy, right? Yeah. They're racist because it gives them some kind of, like, justification to be like, well, at least I'm not like that thing. Right.
At least I'm not a D2F cauldron species.
Exactly. So, like, you'll find throughout the, like, the major theme of the game is, think about Revachol, right? The major theme is you can't just constantly be like, oh, it could have been better. We have to dwell on the past. I can't ever let it go. Because spoiler alert for who killed him. Do you want to know who killed the guy?
I'll figure it out if I ever play again.
So you don't want me to tell you?
Yeah, so no, don't tell me. I'll probably play the game again some other day.
I'll say this though about it, is that his primary motivation is he can't let go of the past at all. It is impossible for him to move on, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the same case with Harry until the player takes agency. A lot of people, like, a lot of the political stuff, like, if you go hard on capitalist or communist or any of these things, like, in the end, you come to the realizations that it actually doesn't matter. Like, this is, like, none of this actually matters in what you're doing in your day-to-day impact with the people around you and what you can actually accomplish. You can have all these grand dreams of the kingdom of conscience, where it's like, oh, we're all going to work together, or like a socialist kind of thing. We're going to get it all working. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, that shit doesn't work. Which also, I didn't support that because I'm like, if the Pale is growing every day, whole fucking full on capitalist, baby, we need to accelerate and figure that shit out or we're all going to die. So it's the only one that actually makes sense. But yeah, that's the overall theme of the game, is that you have to, there are people that will have a stranglehold on some kind of ideology, but they don't actually have that. Like, they don't really give a shit about that. Their problem is something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very good point to make, especially with, like, the current like Western society. Like, right now in America, everything is extremely fucking polarizing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you can't have fucking. They're even making. Can you get this, fellas? Now listen to this. They're making bear sex in video games controversial.
What did you imply with that sentence? you that implies that it shouldn't be weird. Wait. So I can immediately chime in with that. It's like, my problem isn't all these things existing. Is this political bullshit. My problem is just, bro, I just want to play video games. Why do you gotta make it so hard?
That's what it all is. Just like, dude, I just want to play games and be left alone. Yeah,
and they gotta make it really difficult to do that. And you know exactly what my problem is, because what you said about the Paper Mario remake. you know exactly what my actual problem is. Because when you saw the rewrite, yes. You said, "Oh, this vexes me." You understood me for like an entire day of what is actually my problem. It's just, bro, I just want to play video games. Fuck off.
One more thing I want to say about Revachol and how I think it's really interesting is that this type of setting is something that would not come out of a Western country, right? These guys were in a shithole commie block, right?
Yeah, these guys actually grew up in like a shitty commie town. I know that.
The people making this game would have grown up in a society where you had old men in the park playing bocce ball talking about how great it was under communism and we just need to go back there, right? Mm-hmm. That's not something that you're going to experience in the West because, you know, we lived in like a real country.
We lived in like a real country.
A beautiful capitalist country.
A beautiful capitalist country. Looks outside. Groceries cost $8,000 to feed myself for 2 days.
Some people I know just like refuse to play this game because they've heard that it's like commie propaganda or something.
Well, I can tell you that it certainly isn't.
I guess the closest you can say is that it is criticisms of communism from people that grew up in a communist society, right? Like if you go the commie route, what you do is you find a bunch of stupid ass students and all they do is they write booklets and they criticize other people for not reading enough communist literature. They don't accomplish a fucking thing, right? They're all useless. So it's like, if you really want to be one of those guys, I guess you could complain about that because it's like, oh, they're showing like a straw man version of commies, and it's like, whatever, shut up. Shut up, gay boy.
Good. Fucking Kuno, tell him what's what.
But yeah, there's just so many like little moments in the game too. Like when I talked to Leanne at the boat thing, I asked her on a date, right? Mm-hmm. And it went well. Like it was just, you just talked and she just talked about like growing up in this area, like what it's like with her kids and all that stuff. And I'm like, this is nice. Okay. Yeah, this is just like a nice, also if Kim was there, I got a -10 to the roll because it was, quote, pretty awkward if Kim is here. Oh, so one thing that happened in my second run, and this is one of the rare cases where this was a character that had some depth, but it actually was what I thought it was at first. So I got Mr. Everard helped me find my gun, right?
Yeah.
In my second run. In my first one, I just never got it because I wasn't going to work with that slimy fat pig fuck, right?
Okay.
This really like shows, like, so some people I see, some dumb motherfuckers out there will be like, oh, Everett was right. You know, he's going to help the community and do all this. And I'm like, no. If you actually fucking talk to him, which the game expects you to do, Everart's plan is to fucking smuggle drugs into the country to get a bunch of money. He's going to Cuba it. He wants to use this port on Revachol, which is, you know, like it's a very important port, to use this to funnel drugs to get money for himself and for the Union. The Union in the game, when you get there, has been on strike for like 3 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, how the fuck can they afford that? How can you afford all these people's salaries for that long, right? That's part of what Joyce wants to investigate, right?
Yes.
Here's how I knew, like, if I was someone who for some reason thought that Everard might not be a piece of shit. So he got track of your gun, right? And sold it to a lady called the Pigs.
The Pigs.
And this was a character I never encountered in my run, right? I never saw the Pigs. So what she is she's just a lady and she's just babbling. She's got like a bunch of police sirens on her back. And you find her on the docks and she's just babbling and like sounding an alarm and pointing her gun at you, right? Like it's a whole thing. Like if you end up talking her down, she kind of like babbles. And what you can kind of pick up from it is that like her kids left her. She had nothing going on. And then what seems to be a common thing in this game's world is that if you are old or unemployed, or if you have something like that, there's always a job for you, Alex. It's a well-paying job. You're going to work in one of the repeater stations, which is a building in the middle of the Pale where you work as an operator because all the technology is based on radios, right?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, so you'll see that like a lot of older people in disco are like, they're kind of fucked up because they're working out there because that's the only thing that they can do, right? And they're basically sacrificing their mind to, you know, have a little bit more money to be able to afford their rent and shit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like just stuff like it's all stuff like that where it's like this is some stuff that's happening in real life. You know, it's a story, so it's going to reflect, you know, the creators, you know, what they see growing up, right? And growing up, what would they have seen? They would have had some old people in the park that remembered communism fondly. They're going to have some people that were so mistreated under communism that now they're, you know, fucking derelict and their kids aren't there. They don't have any family units. They don't have anything, right?
Yeah.
And you just go on because what are you going to do about it? You know, were the creators going to save them? Like, what the fuck are they going to do? They can't do anything about that. They just have to live in this society where you have people like that are degenerating because they had to. And it's not good. It makes you think communism wasn't good, right? So, and what's crazy is that I'm already planning a third run of disco, right? Because my second run, I went high on drama. And drama is great because it refers to you as like my liege and helps you lie about just random shit. It's really fun. And so I started doing art cop and I'm going a completely different route than I did schizo cop, right? And then I'm going to do a third run where I'm going to be a complete piece of shit. I'm going to go full on deep route. I'm going to go fight or flight. I'm going to kill this child.
I'm going to kill this child.
So one thing that I am sad that you didn't get far enough into, Alex, is when you can get the jackets for you and Kim, where one says piss faggot and the other one says fuck the world. It's pretty good. But yeah, mechanically, I love the way that disco rewards you narratively. It's pretty much all narrative, because Alex is right about mechanics-wise. Disco Elysium is you walk around and you talk to people. Yes, you get like bonuses to different checks based on things that you do, but all you do is you equip armor, you talk to people, and you get more dialogue. And then you solve the mystery and you have fun. That's all you get out of it.
You say all this stuff for the past like 2 hours, but I have to say something to you. I have a question for you. What's the gameplay like?
The gameplay is wonderful because I am engaging with a story that changes based on my input, Alex.
Chat, post the gif of Luigi falling asleep.
See, I am entertained, unlike the small brains.
I was sitting on that joke until you were done for the past like hour. Anyway. No, it does actually sound interesting, but like,
I really think you got fucked with your skill choice.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
that like put you in a bad start.
Probably because like I wanted to be funny, and the game was just like, no, stop that, and just like, it was just like, smack my hand away. It was just smack my hand away from the gun. But like, I don't go to work and then come home and be like, oh yeah, dude, time to fucking read. Reading puts me to sleep, dude. I remember trying to read some shit someone sent me, some fucking like dumbfuck story when I came home from work. I woke up 8 hours later. I genuinely got bored and fell asleep. Like, I'm not trying to be like a giant asshole. It's just like I have a very physical job. If I'm not doing something engaging, my body will just say, all right, Alex, go to sleep now. You're tired. Like, if I'm not doing something actually engaging, like when I sit down and I start to read, my body just goes, oh, you are relaxed. Jeff the Killer's whisper, go to sleep. Like, my body wants to go to bed. I am tired. It is summer. It is 110 degrees today. I do not want to read. I want to sleep. I literally slept on my lunch break today. I am eepy.
I think it is very fair to say that you yourself are like, bro, yeah, I just don't want to do this right now. I'm hot. I want to sit down. I want to do something easy, then go to bed. Right.
Yeah.
But I think it would be unfair to say that having that problem for you makes disco a bad game or not as good
I
as
didn't
it is.
say bad. I just said boring.
I mean, listen here, you little fucker.
listen, Ted, you, I'm just gonna say it, Ted, you have a history of being into the most boringest shit ever. You have
Homestuck, Twin
you have a
Peaks,
history. Would it be
Disco Elysium?
I specifically remember. I don't remember what chapter it was of Homestuck, but I remember one day I was having a bad day. I think my parents got like their 80th fucking fight that week. I was having just a bad fucking day, and you're like, "Holy shit, Alex! The new comic, the new chapter of Homestuck dropped," and I'm just scrolling down trying to preview how long it is, and it's just scrolling and scrolling in this green background and this bright green font and this orange text represent the characters. And I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to fucking do this, dude. Oh my god, this is so boring. Oh, I so don't care right now.
I know the page you're talking about too, because that would have been Dark and Caliborn. That's really funny.
Oh my god, yeah, I think it was actually those two.
No, I think that was because I think I sent you that because there was a gimmick to that page. Like if you hit the next button, he just started beating the panel with a crowbar, and it like destroys the website and it like bounces the buttons around.
Well, either way, my point is just like you will just send me this like Alex, this shit's fucking fire, and it's like this giant fucking textbook of like bullshit I don't give a fuck about. It's like, oh,
Alex, you're never gonna believe this. There's this great story. It's called The Worm, but you can't just read it like a normal person. You have to go to the fucking WordPress blog, chapter by chapter, in the least convenient way possible. No, but it's cool, bro. There's a podcast version recorded with the worst microphones made in mankind's history.
Alex, hear me out. I know it's 2 a.m, but I was watching this 1957 Italian post-African funkcore film starring Italian actor babbaguchi. You gotta check this shit out, dude. It's only 13 minutes long, and it's like literally Kino.
Actually, hold on. Everyone here, I'm going to say something that no one else has the fucking balls to say. Disco Elysium ripped off of the element of crime. That Lars von Trier detective noir movie. By the way, all the women that you interact with in this game, like when you talk to the woman on the balcony, she has a hairstyle and a background similar to Dolores Day. Like there's a lot of parallels all throughout the game to Harry's story. Like all the different characters in the setting embody like different ideas about the setting and shit too.
Yeah.
So I forgot to mention that about Classia. Classia's a fucking bitch though too. That bitch needs to get locked up.
I want to make fuck.
I want to make fuck with you. See, she's another case though where it's like, oh, she's just the damsel in distress or whatever. Like she's the lady in the detective noir movie that comes into the office. I was just about to close up shop when the woman with the reddest hair I'd ever seen and the fattest ass cheeks I'd seen since Tuesday came in. Right? Like that kind of shit. She had an ass like a Taco Bell double stuffed burrito with Fiesta strips.
The line "since Tuesday" either implies it's like Monday of next week, so it's been a while, or it's literally Wednesday, so it's the nicest ass he's seen since yesterday. That line is layered.
Just like Disco Elysium, it's got layers, Alex. That's why my idea for a dream game now is I want a game that steals Disco Elysium, right?
Oh, I bet it's super exciting, too.
Listen here, fuckboy. Here, Alex. Here, look, play on your phone. Go ahead and play balloons with your animals. Ooh, oolong tea. Captain, would you like a bottle? Maybe that's more your speed, buddy. No, my idea for a game, and if you use this, I'll kill you unless you give me $500. It's a game about a boy who becomes a knight, and he used Disco Elysium to kind of like those skill styles to push him towards chivalry or being like a dick or being like a third more mysterious thing. That's my idea. If you steal it, I will kill you.
He's trying to be a knight with the complex emotions of being chivalrous, a dick, or savior fair.
No, I had a whole list. I was like, there was chivalry, there was caddishness, there was honesty, there was being a cunt. Speaking of. I don't know. So that's in defense of Disco Elysium.
In defense of Disco Elysium, if you give it 27 hours, it might be okay at some point.
if you give it 2 seconds like I did, that's when I was hooked. But that's because my brain is actually really big.
Again.
I'm so much smarter than you.
I gave it 5.5 hours. If you take longer than literally an entire film trilogy of like semi-competent films, like I don't know, Star Wars or even like The Matrix, semi-competent, notice, but like I can watch the entirety of Lord of the Rings before your game, quote, gets kind of interesting, unquote. I think there's a problem on you. I've got shit to do,
hold on,
bro.
Alex. You seem to be the outlier. It seems like the thing is, it didn't hook you, which is fine. You're allowed to be like, game didn't really work for you. But like, I was hooked from the start. I know a bunch of other people who got hooked way before 5 hours.
I bet they would like Composure IRL.
It's fucking strangling you, Alex.
Well, can you get that 1800s inside person versus outside person? That's inside person
Alex,
likes Disco Elysium. Outside person.
Criteria just dropped the new Haxan Blu-ray. Haxan, you know that famous 1924 movie about the witches, bro? It's got a new direct DVD screening bonus on there. It's only $300.
I genuinely hate artsy types so much, dude. Imagine seeing the tired, sweaty guy who just got off of work and be like, yes, I will now regale him with fancy artique critique de la forme de le monde. He's going to totally give a shit.
Forma de rojo.
Forma de rojo.
Hermano.
In defense of Disco Elysium, I completely agree with the messaging of none of this shit matters, dude. I gotta go back to work in the Pale tomorrow.
All right, so that's what I gotta say about Disco. It's a fantastic game. It's beautiful. I love it. It made me cry. That's how much I was engaged with it. It was very good. Is there anything else you want to say, Alex? I think we should probably wrap it up because it is 2.5 hours.
Well, it's a meaty episode. Some people like that. I was very engaged, as you can tell. I was mostly listening rather than saying anything. I didn't want to I had a bunch of jokes I wanted to say about things. And I'm like, no, Tad clearly empathy check is success. Tad clearly gives a shit about this a lot, so I should probably be nice and not just throw in. I should not just constantly say he looks like Composure right now every single time he says praise of the game. Because I thought of that joke at work when I was looking at the skill list. I thought it was really, really funny. But I'm like, no, Ted clearly is super into this. I should be nice. But
Alex, you're looking like a Composure right now. Got him.
But no.
Alex calls me Composure. I look like Half-Light. Kill Alex now. He'll never see it coming.
He's disrespecting the greatest game ever made. Kill him right now. Dispose of the body in the blender. Fucking no. It definitely sounds like if you are a story nerd like Tad who is really into things, the most interesting things ever that he listed earlier, like Homestuck and Twin Peaks, you would probably really like it. But if you're like me and you're more of I like jumping around in Team Fortress 2 or planning this incestuous bullshit because it's funny in Fire Emblem, you're probably not gonna like this that much. You're probably gonna be bored like I was.
If the setting doesn't click, yeah. All right. But speaking of clicking, you know what you should do, YouTube fam? You should and click that click button. Smash that smash subscribe notification bell. You can find the show on YouTube, iTunes, not on Google Podcasts, Spotify. It's all in the description. Patreon. The t-shirts are still there. The t-shirts are still in there. I'm already brainstorming new t-shirts because I had a couple ideas for fun ones. This is a good episode. It is 3:35 in the morning. I should probably go to bed. So I think I will do that. So thanks for listening, everyone. This is a very fun episode. I don't have is there a funny, you know what? I don't want to say. I'm going to say, Alex, you know what this game made me feel like?
What?
Truly, we are a Disco Elysium director's cut.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.